Hi, this is Barbara. Welcome to the Recipe Box. We've got a lot of exciting things happening around here, so stay tuned. Welcome to the program, everyone. Welcome to the Recipe Box show. It has been a full day here. We've got a holiday weekend coming up. If you're listening on the archives, this is June the 30th, and the 4th of July weekend is right around the corner. And I asked Chef Jill if she would talk to us about grilling or cooking outdoors with your kids, because everybody's got kids out of school, going on vacation, taking staycations where you're staying home and you're trying to find ways to entertain and keep the kids busy. And, you know, it's a good time to teach them about healthy eating. And with the outdoor cooking going on, the grilling, camping, picnics, this is a perfect time to pull out some recipes that you can use when you're cooking with your children. So she's going to, and Chef Jill has been a friend of the show for several years, and we absolutely adore her. And we're always happy to have her back, and her recipes are just spot on. Things that you can do that are simple, that are easy to make. She turns your thinking around so that you make healthy alternatives and substitutions for some of the recipes that you already have been using. So I know if you've never heard her on the show before, you're going to enjoy it. And go back into the archives, because she's been on the show several times, and you want to listen in and check out the recipes from the previous episodes. Let me mention also that the giveaways we're kind of ending one, starting another one. We just ended a giveaway on the website, therecipeboxshow.com. We just ended the giveaway for Smart Medicine for Your Eyes by Dr. Jeffrey Anshel. And we gave that actually ended on, what is today? Just ended this week. It just ended last week, I'm sorry. So we're giving that one away to Ellen Welk. Ellen is the winner of that. But tonight is the last day for the cookbook, and I'm looking for it, as if I'm going to hold it up and show it to you, by Robert Blakesley, called Your Time to Cook. That cookbook is now, we're on the last day of the giveaway for that. So if you haven't gone over there and posted a comment, you want to do that now before it's too late. It's called Your Time to Cook. It is a great beginner cookbook. It is designed for someone that is just, and for newlyweds or couples. And it's a great cookbook that it shows photographs throughout the recipe. He is a food photographer and food stylist, so he really has got a great cookbook here. He has a new one out called Your Time to Bake. Will be out very soon. But you'll like this one. It's hardcover. It's got glossy photos. It's something that's going to stay around forever. And there's a book plate in the front where you can actually dedicate it and write a little sentiment if you're giving it as a gift. So that giveaway is ending tonight. Now, the new giveaway, I need to run my drum roll, is our barbecue giveaway. And it is sponsored by Pig of the Month. This company offers barbecue ribs, various styles, whether it's wet, dry, gluten-free, Memphis style, and so they offer to give away 2 pounds of baby back ribs, dry, rub, plus a 4-pack of their barbecue sauce samplers. So that's going on right now. So you want to run over to the recipeboxshow.com. You'll see the link there. You'll see the post for our amazing barbecue giveaway. Check that out. I know I do a lot of vegan. We just had Chef Ann Gentry on from Real Food Daily. She's vegan. Her recipes are very friendly for those who are just looking for good vegetable recipes, even if you do eat a lot of meat. So we do mix it up here on the show. Everything's over there on the website. And thank you for those who listen in Canada, all my Canadian peeps. I always say hello to you guys that connect with me on Twitter. The Recipe Box on Twitter. Our hashtag is FoodieCall, FoodieCall. This afternoon at 3 p.m. we had our Foodie Call, which was the Food Blogger Roundtable. The 3 bloggers We had a nutritionist, we had a chef, we had a travel food writer. So their information is, we have links to their websites. We had, our topic was Latin cuisine. So they had to come up with a menu around Latin cuisine. We had a lot of great ideas. Previous to that, we had a graduation party, and before that, we had Father's Day. So these ladies have, and gentlemen, have been on the show. They didn't know what they were going to talk about until I opened their mics. So catch us every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern for the Foodie Call Food Blogger Roundtable. You'll meet some new friends, and thank you for everyone who follows us on Twitter. I think I covered almost everything, but I don't want to take up too much time. If you need to contact us, always check us out over on the website. We have a contact page, and also, of course, on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today we're talking about grilling with your kids, cooking outdoors with your kids, making healthy food choices. It's always a great idea to include your kids when you're cooking and teaching them not only the value of spending time together as a family around the table, but also where does your food come from? It's a great time to do that and to cook outdoors together. So I'm going to introduce Chef Jill. I'm going to open her mic and say welcome to the Recipe Box Show, Chef Jill.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And you know what? I'm so glad that you didn't just spring a topic on me, because I feel pretty well prepared. But it sounds like the Foodie Call is so much fun.
It has been amazing. I did have people that were really anxious and wanted to be on the show, and then I told them the format, and they shrank away into the shadows. So these are the foodie intrepids. But you always have great recipes, so I'm never concerned about you coming up with good ideas.
Well, thank you. And anytime you want me on Foodie Call, I'm there.
Hey, great. Now, get us up to speed with what you've been involved in. And for those who don't know, Chef Jill is in the Chicago area, and she's been involved with a lot of local activities, but also some things that have branched out onto a national level. So why don't you tell us what's going on?
Absolutely. Some of my platform in terms of being a chef is to talk about cooking for health and wellness. And I really volunteer a lot of my time and attention to food-related causes, especially those surrounding children. So for the past 4 years, I've been involved with an organization called Healthy Schools Campaign, and they're at healthyschoolscampaign.org. And it's a fantastic organization, focuses on the health and wellness of Chicago public school children, and really takes 3 tacks. So they look at, first of all, what is being served on school lunches, which we all know is a hot topic. It's something that the First Lady is really rallying behind. It also takes a look at getting exercise and movement back into school children's days, and focuses on green cleaners. So all good things to make sure that, internal indoor air environments are the way that they should be. For the past 4 years, actually a little bit longer, there's been a cooking competition in Chicago called Cooking Up Change. And high school students come together in teams to recreate a school lunch. And it has very stringent nutrition standards. And the school lunches need to be completed in the amount of time that it would take a food service to put it together. So there are a specific number of steps and a limited number of ingredients that can be used. And there is $1 per serving cost that is imposed on this. And these high school students come up with really dynamite solutions. So this last year, the winning team was from Richard's Career Academy right here in Chicago, and they created what they called a sunshine soup. They recognized that the kids in their school didn't like vegetables unless they were hidden, and so they had all of these fantastic vegetables put into a light tomato broth with a little bit of peanut and a lot of spice, and it went over so very well. And then the winner of that competition goes on to a national competition, and that was just held in Washington, D.C. at the beginning of May. And it was fantastic. We had 6 teams from across the country, and the team from Jacksonville, Florida won, and they were very talented student chefs.
Well, congratulations. I always think of you whenever I see the Jamie Oliver show with the Food Revolution. I'm like, I know someone that was doing that before he showed up over here.
Well, it's interesting because we really were paid a very lovely compliment by Jamie Oliver. His Food Revolution organization came to the Healthy Schools campaign and specifically came to Chicago and talked to a number of the nonprofit organizations that are working in this space. And they said that specifically in Chicago, we have a very cohesive nonprofit sector that is going out and really working hard to improve the lives of school children, and especially school children in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods.
Well, great work, and I'm always glad when I see something that's taking momentum and the kids are involved. I think that's just fantastic. That's fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now today, Chef Jill sent me some recipes, and I already have forwarded them to some family members. So we are going to be trying these out this weekend. But we're talking about grilling with your kids, cooking outdoors. It's a great time, but at the same time, you want to be safe. So there are some things that you need to consider because you're not in your regular household kitchen with the appliances. So Chef Jill, why don't you go ahead and get started on that?
Absolutely. So, Barbara, the first thing I like to go through is just a series of tips to help you grow with your children. And it really comes down to 3 main tips and then some tips that are out there to support it. So the first one is never leave a child alone with a hot grill. It can just take a matter of seconds if even a child who understands the dangers of a hot grill comes too close to that grill when it is hot. I always say that a grill is a combination of a campfire and a stove. It has all of the dangers of both. And so it's essential that anytime your grill is hot, that it is attended and that your children it never be left alone with the grill. So that having been said, a number of the tips that I have for grilling with children really supports the way that you can grill safely with your children, because I think grilling is an awesome way to introduce cooking to your kids because you're outside. The food is generally cooked pretty quickly unless you're doing something like a barbecue, in which case, you're using a smoker and it's taking hours. But it's kind of fun. The grill is at a lower height than a stove is, and I just think it's a great way to get kids excited about cooking. So that having been said, you never leave a child alone with a hot grill. The other is that you always want to model safe grilling behavior. So kids really are keen observers of anything that's going on, and if they see you doing something and it's not the right thing to do, they may not say anything to you. They may just file it away in their brain and think that's an okay thing to do. So, for example, if you grab something off the grill with your bare hands, they may say, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, Auntie did it. I should have no problem doing it. And that's a recipe for disaster. So just like everything else, you want to really watch yourself around your kids because they observe your behavior and they incorporate it into their own lives. And then the other thing is it's just planning. So when you have a grill out, you're normally doing a lot of planning, and you have to incorporate a little extra planning when it comes to involving kids. So the first thing that I like to do when I create a plan is I create a list of tasks that the kids can help me with. So these are safe things to keep them occupied, short-term tasks that they can handle that don't involve heat and knives. So, for example, they can put items into foil packets and put those onto the grill. They can put food onto skewers, and they can make side dishes. So they can put together a coleslaw or a potato salad. And this way you get the kids involved in cooking, and they get really excited about the process, and it's not in a way that they would get hurt. So you also want to, when you actually get in and you start grilling, you want to make sure your grill is hot before you start grilling. So the day of your barbecue, after you've made your list of tasks that the kids are going to do and your recipes and everything like that, you heat up your grill, and then you can head inside to gather your supplies. So heating up your grill is the equivalent of preheating your oven. It ensures that everything is going to cook appropriately and as quickly as possible, because you really don't want the kids around the hot grill for all that long. You also want to make sure that you have and use the proper tools when grilling. So grilling tools don't just look outdoorsy. They're actually built to withstand the high heat of a grill, and they often have much longer handles. And what this enables you to do is grab a piece of food from the far side of the grill without putting your hand or arms over the heat source. And so you can grab, the corn on the cob that's at the far end of the grill without singeing, the underside of your arm. Okay, so when you're pulling things together and your grill is heating and you've got your grill all, you have your grill getting ready, you want to gather everything from the inside of your house and bring it outside. What this enables you to do is stay cooking at the grill, make sure you're there the whole time that the kids are there. You don't have to leave the food unattended, and you're never tempted to leave your children unattended with a hot grill. So you want to make sure you have all of your tools. So do you have brushes? Do you have tongs? Cleaning supplies for the grill, basters, foil pans, and so forth. You also want to make sure that you have all the food you need. So you're going to make up a menu of what you're serving, list out all the ingredients that you need for grilling. So like if you're grilling chicken and you're putting on barbecue sauce at the end, you don't just need the chicken, but you need the chicken, maybe you need some seasonings, and you definitely need the barbecue sauce. So list everything out so that you know what you're taking out there. Also, do as much prep work on vegetables and meat when you're inside your house. So for example, if you're grilling out like pieces of lovely summer squash, you want to pre-cut that. So all you have to do is lay it onto the grill. If you are grilling meat, you want to take it out of its packaging and blot the excess moisture from it so that it's ready also to go on the grill. You also want to bring out a cooler with ice if you're going to be cooking more food than can fit on the grill at one time. This keeps food almost like in a refrigerated condition, and that's what keeps it food safe. There is something called the temperature danger zone, and it refers to food, and that's a temperature range beginning at 40 degrees Fahrenheit and going up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, where bacteria can multiply in an accelerated fashion on food. And that, ironically, is room temperature. So you want to keep cold foods cold and hot foods hot. And one way to keep cold foods cold when you're outside is to get a big cooler with ice. You also want to bring out hand sanitizers and wipes so that you can keep your hands clean at the grill. This eliminates you having to run back and forth into your kitchen. And it's really helpful, especially if you're putting raw meat onto the grill. You want to make sure that you get off any traces of raw meat from your hands before you touch another piece of food. You may also want to have some extra sets of tongs. What I like to do is I have one set of tongs that I use for taking raw meat and putting them onto the grill, and then I have another set of tongs that I use just with the grill for turning over meat, and then a third set of tongs that I use for taking fully cooked meat and transferring them from my grill to a serving container. And speaking of serving containers, you do not want to reuse anything that you had raw meat on as a serving container. So I can remember in the 1970s, my dad would roll out with a raw chicken platter, and he would cook chicken, and then he would put the cooked chicken back on the raw chicken platter without washing it. We know so much more now. You want to make sure that you have nice, clean platters that have never been, haven't been used, that they've recently been cleaned to put your cooked food on, and that keeps it nice and food safe. And your kids can help you with this. Your kids can help you remember, oh, hey, the white platters are for the food that's coming out of the house, and the green platters, or the red, white, and blue platters, as you may be using this weekend, are for the food that's coming off the grill. And if you give kids tasks like that, first of all, they love it, and second of all, their little brains really lock into important details like that. And adults seem to forget things like this because we're so busy thinking about other things that if you say to the child that you're grilling with, keep these platters straight, they'll know, and they'll actually stop you. They'll say, hey, Mom or Dad, stop putting that chicken on the dirty platter. We've got to put it on a clean one. Other things that you want to do to or bring outside to make your outdoors a makeshift kitchen is to bring a roll of foil. What that can do is you can wrap foods that are coming off the grill or create little tents so that hot foods stay hot. You also want to bring a timer, and it could be as simple as the timer on your watch or a timer on your cell phone. That way you know to set timers if you've got foods that are coming off at a specific time. You also want to have some sort of tub that you can put dirty dishes into, just so that you keep them separated from clean dishes and dishes that are going to be used for cooked food. You also want to have a thermometer so that you can check the doneness of all of your foods. And I'm going to give you just a couple quick temperatures to remember. If you are cooking poultry, I would pull it off when the thermometer reaches 145. If you're cooking sausage or ground beef, you pull it off when the temperature goes to 155. And if you're cooking red meat, whole pieces of red meat, such as steaks, you can go anywhere between 125 for rare and 155 for well done. You also want to make sure that you have outdoor types of things, such as sunscreen and bug spray, because it could be, a cloudy day when you start grilling, and then the clouds part and you realize that you're getting way too much exposure to the sun. You don't want to have to, again, run into your house, leaving your grill unattended, and possibly just even being tempted to leave the kids with the hot grill. And then finally, kids do have a finite attention span. So you know that they may not be interested in cooking the entire time that you're cooking. Bring a couple diversions for the kids. So bring them some games to play or some outdoor toys. And if they want to leave the area, just make sure that they're not by the hot grill and they're somewhere that you can see them, or call into the house and see if there's another adult that can take over supervising the kids. Some of the other things you want to do when you're grilling out with kids is, again, this goes under modeling good behavior, is wash your hands. Because, we're handling propane tanks, maybe we're handling charcoal or lighter fluid, so you want to wash your hands for a solid 20 seconds in warm, soapy water. And a lot of people say, well, what's 20 seconds? It's the equivalent of singing the alphabet. So you can turn it into a game for you and the kids. You also want to start with a clean grill. And when I say a clean grill, I don't mean bring out the industrial cleaning products. I mean get your grill smoking hot and close the lid. And what this is going to do is it's going to loosen any of the foods that may be cooked onto your grill surface, and also loosening the oils, like the cooking oils or fats from animals that are causing any food to adhere to your grill surface. Then you take a wire grill brush. So again, this is the one with the long handle, and possibly it may have like a dull blade at the end of it, and you scrape the grill clean. What this does is this is going to reduce your chances of having contaminated foods. Also, your foods aren't going to taste like your last grill out. So if you grilled out a particularly delicious but salmon-y tasting salmon, it's not going to influence the vegetables that you're grilling this time. You also want to oil your hot grill. So what this does is it's almost like putting butter in a pan or parchment paper down when you're baking. So what you do is you take an old kitchen towel that you're no longer using and make sure it's clean, roll it up into a roll, and then tie it up with kitchen twine. And then you're going to take a little container of some vegetable oil, and you're going to dip the kitchen towel into the oil using a set of long tongs and just quickly rub it across the surface of the grill in quick, even strokes. Now, you may see some flare-up, but if you're going to be moving fast, and the flare-up is not going to get you. The one thing that you never, ever, ever want to do is spray something like Pam or another cooking spray onto a hot grill, because you're going to create some napalm, and you and your kids are going to lose your eyebrows. And then the last thing is, just make sure that you keep all your hot foods hot and your cold foods cold. So that's the reason for bringing out foil to tent your hot foods and keep them nice and warm, as well as a cooler where you can keep your nice cold foods cool. And sometimes for me, if I'm only grilling a few things, I'll set aside about a third or a quarter of my grill as like a warming station, and I'll make sure that there's not many charcoals there, or I'll turn down the gas burners there, and I put a foil pan there, and I put my hot foods there so that they just stay nice and hot, but they don't continue to cook. So do you have any questions about those tips, Barbara?
Well, actually, what I've been doing is posting some of the highlights and sending them out in tweets and putting them in the chat room. And these are great teaching moments for your kids. That's the thing that I really have as a takeaway, to use the opportunity to have all of these separate little teaching moments and to plan ahead. So when you get everything together, you can also plan ahead in your mind the moments where you want to introduce some of these teaching moments about the cross-contamination, about keeping hot things hot and cold things cold, washing your hands for 20 seconds. And, you know, I literally, because a long time ago someone said if you sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, so whenever we had the little ones, we would always sing, and in my head I'm doing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star when I'm washing my hands. Every now and then I catch myself doing that because it's so stuck in my head now. So if that happens to me as a grown-up, I'm sure it happens for your kids. So I've been posting a lot of the information out there, and it's great. So please continue.
Great. And I'm so glad. And as your listeners have more tips, I hope that they post them as well, because I certainly don't know everything there is to know about grilling with kids. So let's move on to some recipes.
I think that's great. I want to say hello to Dan real quick. He said he's very stoked for McGruff. I guess that was the reference to the napalm with the don't spray Pam on your grill. But anyway, why don't we go with some recipes now?
Sure thing. And Dan, you would have some serious fireworks. I know in a lot of municipalities are cutting back on fireworks, but none of us want to create them in our own backyard when we're grilling.
Sure.
So this is, you know what, when I was thinking about recipes that are good to work on with kids, I thought back to my own childhood and things that my family did while camping, and different recipes that I cooked when I was a Girl Scout. And I have to say, I remember one of the worst recipes from being a Girl Scout, and we made pizza in a cast iron skillet, and that was just awful because we had a roaring fire, the bottom got burnt, the inside was raw, and the toppings never melted, and we were, you know, subjected to eating it anyway, unfortunately. So these are all the time-tested recipes that I've really enjoyed. And the first one is for potatoes in foil. So what you do is you take 4 russet or Yukon Gold potatoes, scrub them really well, and you slice them into quarter-inch slices. You're going to take a small yellow or white onion, peel it, have it lengthwise, and then slice it into quarter-inch slices. So it's almost going to create little half moons there. You have a tablespoon of vegetable oil, a teaspoon of salt, and a half teaspoon of pepper. And your special equipment on this is aluminum foil. I love to use aluminum foil on the grill. First of all, it heats and cools quickly. So that's really a key when you're cooking with kids, because kids are excited when they've cooked something, they want to try it right away. And if it's coming out of a hot package, yes, you can tell them this is hot, stay away, and they get it, but you also want something that's going to cool down quickly, and the kids are going to get to taste food and touch the package and be all excited about it without having to wait a half hour like a cast iron skillet. So you take about a 12-inch, which is the width of a roll of aluminum foil, and you roll out about 2 feet, so about 24 inches of foil. Into the center of that, you're going to layer your potatoes, top them with the onion, sprinkle it with the vegetable oil, sprinkle it with the salt, sprinkle up with the pepper, and turn in the insides, or turn in the sides of the foil to bring them together, and then